Electric Fire Chapter 1 Before it all started.
"50 years ago, created as an ultimate life form may have been one of the greatest successes in science history if only I could say the same for myself. My name is Shadow the Hedgehog, created in a lab just outside of Earth's atmosphere in space. To make things even more complicated, my creator Gerald Robotnik had gotten into contact with an alien overlord called Black Doom. He supposedly helped to bring me to life in order to help a young girl named Maria Robotnik. Releasing me was Gerald's biggest mistake along with creating me. While living on the space colony Ark, I grew to know Maria and Gerald better, though everyone else feared me. All the scientists and even another child, Abraham Towers. He was one of the scientists' child. He was brought along to be friends with Maria and to help keep her entertained while her grandfather worked on making a cure for her disease that was slowly killing her. Gerald and Maria were the only ones that actually cared about me. Towers didn't like to hang out with me and Maria. He'd take off if he saw me. Living on the Ark was tough, almost always being in the lab, getting tested on. Maria had to go through the same. Towers didn't catch the same disease as Maria, luckily, though Gerald had said that Maria's disease was probably contagious at first. That's what he thought, but it was far from the truth. Gerald built the station in space so he could help Maria, but he also built it to see space. It's pretty peaceful just to look at planets all day. But then there was the raid. The military got word about me and was ordered to get Maria to safety while alarms were blaring. Maria was spying on Gerald when I found her. The door was open a crack just enough so she could see. Her grandfather was talking with 3 soldiers when one of the soldiers noticed her. Everything fell to pieces after that. The chase gave and I took her by the hand as one of the soldiers called out,
"It's the creature, or stop it from escaping."
Footsteps thundered behind me as me and Maria ran, going down the hallway with soldiers behind us with guns. I could hear them pulling out their guns as we neared the escape pods. I quickly opened the door and went in. Maria got shot in the back as the door closed. She tried to hide it, but I heard her scream as the bullet bit her. She somehow still stood, but she pushed me into one of the pods. I kicked and punched the glass, wanting to get to her. I knew she was injured. It was my fault. I just wanted to help her, but I was left in the pod and able to break free. Maria stumbled to a lever in the middle of the room. I saw the door open as the 3 soldiers made their way into the room.
"She's gonna release the creature."
I heard one yell, then another one yelled,
"Stop, don't move, little girl."
Maria wasted no time. She pulled the lever down with all her strength.
Santa Shadow, please protect the world and let others be happy in peace.
Maria then got shot a second time. She fell limp in front of me. That was when I was descending down to earth. I walk in the outskirts of a city. Shattered glass surrounded me. The pod had broken, but here I was injured and alone. No Maria or Gerald. I heard noise behind me and all around. Lights were spotted and dog barks. I knew this was the end. The yellow light hit me along with some kind of a red laser pointer was on me as well. Then something hit me. I couldn't move. I was losing consciousness once again. This was it. I was done for.
Present time.
I was once a young thief on a different planet. I learned from a young age on how to pickpocket and steal food. I had enough for gems, the sparklescent and the most precious. I learned it from a hedgehog who went by the name of Manic. Sadly, he had gotten caught by some vicious gang of echidnas. He had tried stealing some rare gems by them. The echidnas are ruthless jerks, always enraged. Hedgehogs were their main enemy. They had a feud going for years and years. Echidnas are so headstrong. There's only one that just wanted peace instead of always fighting and bickering. Anyway, let me introduce myself. The name's Ruse the Bat. I'm from a planet called Mobius. The name sounds nice, but let's just say you have to be quick in order to live. It's survival of the fittest out here. Hardly anyone is kind anymore. Flying through the markets is a breeze. Picking up gems and things is so easy when you can fly without a sound up until you fly into the garden and drop missing items that were probably reported in front of them. This big ogre-looking echidna stood above me. I knew into the gems that were on the ground. I just gave him a big grin and a wink to try and charm him, but this time my flirts weren't enough. He grabbed me and I dropped the rest of my stash of goods, but then I noticed something gold shimmering from the sack that was hanging off to the side almost unnoticed. It was a sack of gold rings. The sack was hanging onto him by a rope that was tied to his stomach. I had to think of something. I really wanted those sparkly golden rings now. I quickly bit him hard on the hand. Once let go for the rings, I opened the bag a bit so I could grab as many as I could before flying off. I could now hear him asking for backup. Then all I could see were arrows coming at me. I flew faster and faster trying to get away. My mind raced, but then a voice inside my head told me to use a ring to travel to someplace else. I had no idea where I was going, but I noticed a billboard that said Earth it, so I thought I was rushing through so fast trying to outfly the spears. I could feel them rush past me. I tossed a ring thinking about the word Earth, and before I knew it, I went through a portal that led to some type of building, a military headquarters base. The portal quickly closed behind me. No one else came through. I was alone as usual. I still held on to the rings that I had stolen. I knew I was an enemy of the Echidna tribe. They're scattered all over, usually on other planets, well, so I heard. Mostly looking for hedgehogs after what my best friend had done. Who were manic. I could only imagine what they'd done to him. Horrible ways of torture or just plain killing him. Now here I was, enemy number 2 of the Echidna tribe. I only hope there weren't any here where I find my new life. The headquarters below me was very noisy. I could hear multiple sounds coming from within its walls, even the faintest movements of mice and rats within. I was getting hungry just by the sounds the mice made. I decided to sneak into the base, staying above cameras and not being detected by the inhabitants. Scratching noises came from the air ducts. I got in by a loose vent. The people there were really loud. It didn't matter if I was being a bit noisy in the vents, but then I slipped down a vent, leading me to the basement. This wasn't what I thought it was. I thought this was a military, but it was actually a prison. The low levels were quitted, nothing but science. The first floor was nothing but nose due to guards, and a mask cleaning itself. It hadn't noticed me yet, but then it turned my way, then began running from me, leading me straight to its pack. Suddenly another drop stopped me in my tracks. I fell trough to an opening, plummeting in front of a large pod. It was very dusty cookie. It looked as though it were holding some type of monster. I got up and rubbed off a bit of dust off it, and words appeared along with a small symbol. Project was written, but then I rubbed off a bit more dust and the word shadow appeared. I then looked around a bit and found some type of lever on the wall. It looked very old and rustic. Curiosity got the best of me as I pulled it down. Mechanic whirling was heard, then the sound of steam being released was heard as a metal door opened. It was surprising to see such an old machine work. Suddenly something started to rise from the pod, but then I heard the sound of a machine gun going off. Something leapt into the air, jumped on me, and took me to safety behind a metallic tube or something. The machine gun sounds kept going off. Bullets missed us. I looked up to see a dark hedgehog with red stripes beside me. Then a click sounded. The thing was reloading, but I got up and ran to what made the noise. It was a giant robot. Well, aren't you something? I smiled, working on my charms with this robot. It seemed to be working. Don't mind little old me just hunting mice. I felt a gaze on me from the shadows. I could sense fear from within the darkness. Perhaps it was the hedgehog who I had accidentally released from his prison. I wondered if I had just released a criminal. The robot put his weapon away and scanned me.
You are not a threat.
It spoke in its robotic voice before it scanned the room, before it located something in the darkness.
Target spotted. Must destroy.
I knew this robot was targeting the hedgehog. Hey, how about we make a deal instead? I mean, you probably don't like this place being stuck down here. You're really dusty and a bit rusted. How about I help fix you up and the three of us can get to know one another instead of bickering or destroying each other. I winked at the robot. Again, my charms worked. He stood down. I guess all this time down here caused an error in this robot's programming.
You can come out that Project Shadow. No harm will come to you.
The robot spoke. The hedgehog cautiously came out of hiding and stood beside me. He had shown he cared earlier by getting me to safety. Why this robot went crazy on trying to shoot us.